I got some tips for shooting a wedding? Yeah, here are my top tips for shooting your first wedding, and hopefully, you know, your first experience will be with people who are relaxed about it. Maybe it's people who have asked you, you know, if you'd like to do it, if they know you're a you know, a keen photographer. So tip number one, an agreement, a requirements list, effectively, of what the couple expect. I would say that's pretty much essential, and it gives you a chance to talk to the couple to find out what their expectations are. And having something written down about you know, creative freedom and who owns the copyright and all that sort of stuff, what the output will look like, you know, what format it's going to be in, how big the pictures will be, that sort of stuff is just all, yeah, if you get it down in writing, it gives you a chance to talk about it and agree it beforehand, and no, you know, much less chance for disagreements and bad feeling later. Tip number two would be, make sure you know your equipment. You've got to know it inside out, really. So as long as you've been shooting with your equipment, camera, flash, lenses, etc. for a while, you should know where you are in terms of settings and setup. I think one thing I learned there from my first wedding was don't overpack. I think I took, you know, I don't really feel as if I did overpack too much, but I did take 2 extra lenses that I didn't use, the 35mm macro lens, which I didn't use, and the 75mm kind of, you know, long portrait lens, which I didn't use. So I know lots of wedding photographers online say, oh yeah, they only shoot primes, but I've got to say, something like the Olympus Pro lenses, I think they're good for the job. It almost goes without saying, on the subject of equipment, tip number four is spares of everything. So that's batteries, cards. I took chargers with me as well, and did get the opportunity to charge batteries as well, because you just don't want to be running out of stuff like that. I think tip number 5, don't be afraid to ask for replays. There was a couple of occasions where I had to say to the couple, oh yeah, you know, that first kiss, or, you know, when cutting the cake, what we want is, we need to slow it down here, can you do that again, that type of thing. Cutting the cake is one which I've seen a photographer online says, you know, often a couple will pick up the knife and they'll cut the cake, and you think, oh, hold on, we really wanted a picture of you just about to cut the cake, and it's in pieces, and it's a bit late, you can't put it back together. So yeah, it's important to make sure that you're demonstrative enough to say, stop a moment, I need you to do this in the way that I want to do it. I know it's kind of, you know, you could say it spoils the moment a little bit, but, you know, you're not going to get that chance again, and they're not going to get that chance to have a photograph that they might cherish for years. You know, in an instant it can be gone. So, you know, sometimes you need to just call them out and say, oh, hold on, let's slow that down, or can we do that again? Just so as to make sure you catch the moment. I think tip number 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 would be concentrate all day. It's nice to relax, but don't miss a moment, because a moment that you need to capture can happen at any time. So just concentrate all day. And equally, you know, the next tip is kind of try to relax, but keep shooting. Overshoot, doesn't matter, you take extra shots, you know, some of them won't come out at all. There will be some moments when people have moved unexpectedly and blurred something, or somebody's bombed the shot, or there's someone in the background who you didn't want, they're doing something you didn't want. So anything can happen, but if you shoot extra shots, then, you know, also, you know, when you're doing post shots of groups and stuff, you've got to take several photos, because there'll always be somebody who blinks, or looks away, or, you know, whatever. So you've got to take, you know, multiple shots of every group. So just keep shooting. Don't matter if you overshoot, you can always cull the photos later. Tip number 7, 8. Prepare for a long day. I know a lot of professional photographers, they stay until the first dance and then they're gone. But you know, potentially, again, you can miss stuff like that. So it's nice to hang around till later in the day, and you know, you just got to be prepared to have plenty of water, drink water all day, take some snacks in case you need them at some point. Yeah, just be prepared for a long day. Wear comfortable footwear and comfortable clothing. You've got to be you know, completely just focused on the photography, really. Of course, you know, test everything in advance, including those memory cards. Make sure you're using stuff that you've used before, and don't rely on stuff that you haven't used before, because it might let you down. So yeah, use stuff that you know about. That's it. That's my list of tips. Can't think of anything else at the moment. Yep. Those are my tips for a successful first wedding outing, which I hope mine was.